My name is Mark Miner. I am an investigative writer and author. In my travels, I've investigated many people and places. Watch as I seek out stories that are typically outside of the box of normal. I am the Seeker.
Hi guys, so I came here to tell you a little bit about the next episode of the Willamette River Creature. So we're actually in a location today. Some of you might recognize it, some of you might not. It's actually trifold surprise today. So we got two stories coming out of here today, and we have Tyler with us today, which is super cool because Tyler hardly ever wants to come out and do this stuff with me. But so we're gonna be passing this guy here. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of scenery here. So it's very woodsy back here. Come here, Ty. Good boy. That's a good boy. Alright. Tyler's a friendly dog, but he gets too rambunctious sometimes. How you doing? Okay. So these are the woods, and this is the walking trail. So I'll kind of get into what happened here, the attack that actually happened here. So this is a pretty common hiking trail for our area. Sorry, I got a twist because Tyler likes to wrap himself around me. For the area, a lot of people come here, such as the guy that passed us with his dog, and then a lot of people like to exercise on the trail. There are homeless people on this trail, but the city here tries to really discourage that a lot. Anyways, this was, I think 6 years ago. This guy, just single guy, like by himself, was walking this path, and it's about this time of day, and you know, just out enjoying nature and the such. And he kept hearing like rustling in the bushes, like down in there, and he just figured, you know, it's like a squirrel, small animal, whatever. And he said he walked perhaps like half a city block, and he heard like growling. And so that's when he stopped. He kind of got his bearings about him, waited it out to see if he could hear or see anything, which he couldn't. So he kept on. At the end of this trail is like a loop, which is what me and Tyler just did. So the guy went through the loop. Nothing went on. No triggers were set up for him. And as it came out of the loop, kind of, well, like right where we're at, I can tell by that tree right there, is where something came rushing at him out of the bushes, which is right there. So you can see there's like a little indentation for a trail. He said it happened so fast, it was like a blur. He didn't know what it was. He says it was as big as a bear, but it was almost like a human. So it ran on its two legs, but every third or fourth step, it would hit the arm onto the ground. Anyways, it came at him, it knocked him over, just like butted him or tackled him, knocked him over, and then continued off into these woods over here. So here's the trail. So it went across the trail, knocked him over, and then went off into the woods over here. You see how dense this is. I mean, it's passable, but it's pretty dense. So the thing just like crashed through all of that. So the guy only had a few scratches on him from falling. It shook him quite bad. He ended up taking off running down the trail, which I'll show you right here. And Yeah, he got really freaked out. I do know that I've been on this trail many times. And on this trail, I have seen cougar, I've seen deer, of course, homeless people, and the such. So I know there's wildlife around here. I don't know of anything that's big enough to actually tackle a guy. So, but the reason why this is pretty this is pretty common for my story theme is, well, you really can't see it now, but off to, I thought it heard something. Off to my right here, over here, is the Willamette River. As we get further on the trail, you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, so the other story, we're gonna stop right here and take a breather. Hey, Tyler, come on, come here. All right, sorry about that. The other story is something that happened many years ago. So, I'm going to read from this as it was reported. So, I'm going to take my glasses off so I can read. Okay, so this is from the late 1950s and early 1960s in the Albany-Millersburg area. Flix, F-L-I-X, made the news for a good 2 years. He was seen off and on in the area during that time. Clarence Starr, the owner of the Owl Cafe in Albany at the time, that no longer exists, told Westby is Betty Westby, the reporter who wrote several articles about Flix for the Democrat Albany Herald newspaper, that the monster had trampled down a lot of his mint on his farm and that he will not be able to harvest much of his crop. You're wondering what Flix is. I'll get to that. An elderly woman who came from one of the early pioneer families, the paper noted, walked into the Greater Albany office to give her story of her encounter with the Flix. That monster was in our pasture last night. My neighbor took a shot at it. He found some blood on the ground, so he thinks he hit it. We saw its tracks, and the women in our neighborhood are scared to go anywhere at night or even sit on porches or leave the doors or windows open. I think the sheriff and state police should hunt this creature down before it kills somebody. The newspaper tried to explain to the woman that a big white cow had recently escaped from an owner's truck and that this is what she saw, but she refused to believe that explanation. Mrs. Penning in Devers Corner, it's kind of like a small suburb around here, about 30 miles south of Millersburg, told Betty Westby that she heard dripping sounds, even though it was in August. It is interesting that Mrs. Penning described the dripping sound. Remember that Flix's footsteps were also described as squishy. Looking out her living room window, she saw a large light form hurrying away and heard a low-pitched cry that seems to start from its toes, tapering off to a squeal like a pig's. Penning also found fingerprints on her bedroom window, and Westby saw that they were web-shaped due to the four-fingered, spread-out shape of the prints. It's interesting. 3 years later, the story of the creature of Concert Lake, there's your clue, you can look that up, was still news in an article by Martin Clark, Albany Journal staff writer, comments on writer Keter Sobe's upcoming talk on the monster. Leaping from the shadow of a deep gully, the thing stood fully 7 feet tall in the ghostly moonlight. Petrified with mingled horror and curiosity, the young people sat motionless in their car. Suddenly the apparition took an enormous leap over the gully and slipped away through tangles of boughs. He's quite the writer. By October, Flix or a similar creature was reported in Stanton, Oregon, 30 miles from Millersburg. It seems that Flix moved within an approximate 30-mile radius. This is assuming it was the same creature, of course. Calls came in to the Stanton police station of an 8-foot-tall hairy monster, and monster hunters were quick to look for the creature. Fortunately, the police stopped a group of teens armed with guns and beer. Yeah, not always good guys. Who decided to go monster hunting before they could do any damage. Yeah. Cryptozoologist and biologist Ivan D. Sanderson discussed the Concert Lake monster briefly in his book called The Abominable Snowman, Legend Come to Life. That's quite a stretch. Citing a small item that appeared in January 1961 edition of Fate magazine, reporting that the monster was still on the loose. Sanderson also writes in Abominable Snowmen that a source wrote Sanderson in October 1960, insisting that there was not only... Hold on, I gotta flip the page. The one Flix, but several Flixes in the area. According to Sanderson's unnamed friend, there were more than one BHM, which is kind of what they're calling the creature as a nickname. Several, in fact, and fingerprint as well as footprint casts were taken. The letter writer described that he makes extremely high-pitched sounds. How you doing? Tyler. Sorry. His hair or fur had a slight glow in the dark. His feet made a squishy sound. Has been seen at day and night and seemed to disappear into the lake. That's the Concert Lake, not the Willamette River. The last part about Flix disappearing into the lake gives some support to the theory about BHM and or Bigfoot living underground. Sanderson also reported this idea. The letter writer mentions a Hal Starr who has had contact with more than one of these creatures. In the correspondence sent to Sanderson and the Concert Lake Monster, the letter writer reports that creatures were still being sighted on a farmer's farm. The name given was Hal Starr, the owner of the Owl Cafe mentioned earlier. He has since passed away. Flix himself verified Sanderson's source that there was more than one creature. The creature told a psychic, Jane Waterby. Waterby was a friend of Betty Westby's, remember the reporter, and the two visited the lake and tried to communicate with Flix, that he wasn't the only creature of his kind. "I'm sorry for you, alien friend, what are you called?" is what the psychic asked him. The creature said, "I am Flix. There are many like me, but I am the one called Flix." Another typical yet frustrating detail Sanderson's friend gives is the writer's comment that a fingerprint was lifted off a house window, including a plaster cast of a footprint. Sanderson's friends also said he had physical evidence. "I have personal taped accounts of this creature. This includes photographs. But no photographs, fingerprints, footprints, or recordings have turned up since the 1960s. As with much of UFO, cryptid, and 410 phenomena, evidence is as elusive as the phenomena itself." So, I have talked to some of the older people in this town, and some refuse to talk about the whole Flix thing, but others say they remember it. You know, some say that at first they thought it was a hoax. Others, said that they remember it was a really, really big thing. So, in going around in the area. So, what does this have to do with the Willamette River Creature? That's a good question. So, the reason why I wanted to bring the Flix story into this is because it's in the area where these creature sightings have happened. Now, most say the Flix creature is white, like it's all white. But the Flix creature itself said that there's many of them. So what if what people have seen is the Concert Lake Monster? What if the Willamette River Creature is the Concert Lake Monster? What if they're tied together? Well, there's no way to prove that. As I stated from that article, any photographs, journals, anything like that have either been put away, like stored and not shown, or have been thrown away, or people just refuse to show it. I don't know why. That's so weird. You would think that would be some kind of memorabilia. But, if this Hal Spark, whatever, had photos, surely his descendants would have come across them and shared them. So I don't know why they don't do that. So all these stories are pretty much, you know, there's no evidence whatsoever. Even with what happened to me at Monteith Park with coming face to face with this creature, I have no evidence. All I have is my account and a witness account. That's it. And that runs pretty much what happens here. I mean, there are hospital bills where people were scratched, bitten, whatever. But they have written that off to dog bites and such. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. But anyways, I wanted to kind of share those stories with you and show you the location and stuff. So I'll show you some more of the area. Tyler's taking a bathroom break. So it's kind of muddy today, as you can see. Of course, it's the Pacific Northwest, and it is January still. So let's go under this log here. Oh, Tyler's so nice. He likes to wait for me to make sure I get across. Tyler's such a good dog. He loves going on hikes. And then afterwards, we usually stop by McDonald's and get him a couple small burgers. So he knows what he's getting here pretty soon. So here's Tyler by a tree. So he likes to look at the moss and smell the tree and stuff. Oh, I was going to show you that Willamette River. So, can you see it through the trees? Yeah. So we're quite a ways from the river, but there are trails that make it accessible down to it. And then on this side, there is like a little lake that people like kayak on and the such. So it's very beautiful out here. You know, I know you got that line there across with the sun because I'm facing towards the sun, but hopefully the colors and everything come out really well on film. So I guess that's pretty much it for the whole story of the guy that got attacked here. Attack is kind of a strong word. I guess he was really startled. He did tell me, I forgot to tell you, he did tell me that he would never come back to this area. I didn't have the heart to tell him that he was like the 30th something person I had an interview that had some kind of contact with this creature. But it's spread over a large area. So not coming to this area is not going to help. Look at how beautiful that is. Doesn't that remind you of like a fairy tale setting or something? Yeah. As a writer, this is where stories are made. When you see a scene like that, that is just awesome. Okay. So I know I always tell you in these videos to try to ignore my heavy breathing, but I have gained quite a bit of weight over the winter. So I have been working out and trying to lose that weight, and in the process I've gotten my breathing under control a little bit better. So I'm not huffing and puffing as much as normal here. Plus it's very level ground. Okay guys, so see, there's the Willamette through the trees. It's the Willamette River right there. Alright, so anyways, my breathing's better, and it's mainly my gut, you know, that middle-aged spread, but I'll get rid of it. Not so much because I'm trying to impress anybody or impress you or whatever. It's about me. It's about me wanting to feel better about myself. And when you're in better shape, going on these excursions like this makes it so much easier. And you're more enthused to go. So when you're heavy and it's hard for you to hike and stuff like that, you tend to procrastinate about going on hikes and stuff like that because it's such a big laborious thing. But when you're in shape, it's not such a big deal. So, oh, the wind's picking up. Let's go back to the trail. So, oh, you can see the river now, big time. Yeah. And hopefully up here pretty soon, we'll be able to see the, oh, there it is. There's the lake. Yeah. So you know what's funny about coming to state parks or parks like this? It used to be, especially like in Oregon, Washington, Northern California, it used to be, can you hear the trees talking? That's so cool. It used to be where you'd have to worry about the wildlife, like deer, cats, bear, whatever. Nowadays you have to really watch for homeless. They will come out of nowhere, and especially if you're carrying like a backpack or a bag or something like I am right now, they think you're carrying stuff. Well, such as me holding this expensive camera filming this. So you got to watch out for them coming out, possibly robbing you, trying to con you out of things, asking for things. And so when that happens, you just have to be stern and let them know. Keep moving. Always have a weapon on you, just in case they want to jump or attack you. And just all together, keep your eye out, be aware of your surroundings, and be safe. So, sadly, that's just the way it is. And with the state of what's been going on here recently, which I'm not going to get into because, I'm not really that kind of a political guy, but the state of things, the way it's going, it's only going to get worse, guys. So you just have to be careful, okay? Oh, look, we got a great view of the Willamette. Oh, and the lake. Here, I'll show you the Willamette first. Yeah, see? That's the Willamette River. Tyler, don't get too close. Alright. And up around the bend up here is, can you see it? That's the lake. So, oh, the wind's coming up, guys. Hopefully that wind protective thing on my camera is working. Alright, guys. That wind is picking up, so I'm going to let you go after I get past these people. Alright. So there's the lake. Looks like a log in there. Right. Alright. There, let's get past this mud. Alright. Alright, guys. Okay, I'm gonna let you go. Thanks for coming along with me and Tyler. And I got more stories and locations of the Willamette River Creature that I'm gonna be doing in Season 2, which starts May 14th. I'm going to tell you, I'm super excited about Season 2. So this first season was a lot of fun. But Season 2, you ain't seen nothing yet. It's going to be more exciting, more adventures, more investigations in the daytime and the nighttime. We're going to go to the craziest places, talk to the craziest people. It's going to be so good. So remember, May 14th, it's the first episode of Season 2. So I'm gonna let you guys go for now so I don't slip and fall in this mud. Remember, see, I almost did it right in front of you. Remember, guys, stay weird, Be proud to be weird. Live weird. And if someone calls you weird, you say thank you. All right? Well, until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.
Oh,